Hello parents, and thank you for tuning in to this web video. I'm trying to create a web video series for our church, and this is the first video in a series. I'm going to offer you a brief explanation of the format for this, and then I'll jump right into what I have prepared for this week and maybe give you a taste of what I have in store for the coming several weeks. To begin with an explanation, I've been working with kids since I've been here in Cisco. I've been working with your kids, I've been working with other people's kids. I spend the vast majority of my time with kids. Oxygen is 3 hours of the week where I'm with kids. In church on Sunday, the two classes that I teach, the two classes that I'm part of, 2 hours are with kids. I show up at a lot of sports activities, I go to their plays, I go to their band concerts. I try to be really active in your kids' lives, but I've kind of done this to the point where I've started to forget about how important families are. So the reason for this web video series is me trying to recapture what I think is so important. Families are important. I don't want to work against you. One of the things that I've kind of run into a couple of times is I plan so many activities and plan so many things for the kids that sometimes you're just moving your kids from one activity to the next, and I'm taking away time that you could be having with your kids. I don't want to do that. I want to work with you, not against you. So, you know, if you'd rather go golfing with your kids than send them to Oxygen one week, that's fine. Please do. Your time with your kids is more important than my time with your kids. And I want you to know that that's the way I see it. I don't feel like you're taking your kids away from me or anything like that. I feel like it's more important for you to be the influence in their life than for me to be. I want for this to be a way for you to use me as an asset for your family. I don't want to be somebody who tells you how to parent. You have so much more parenting experience than I do. I don't have any kids and you do. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you this is how you should raise your kids. I'm not interested in that. What I am saying is that I read a lot, I'm in school, I know some things, I'm confident in some things, and I believe some of these things can help you as you teach your children. Like I said, I'm not trying to tell you how to parent, but I do feel like I can give some suggestions, give some advice. Some of it might be good for you and some of it might not. It's up to you to use discernment and try to decide what you want to use for your family. The weekly format for this video is going to be as follows. We're going to have a moment where I talk about something that I've learned throughout the week or something that I've learned recently. I'm going to follow that up with Scripture because Scripture is so important to who we are as Christians and who we are as a church. And then finally, I'm going to offer you a challenge each week. I invite any input and criticism into what I'm doing here. If you have good ideas that you'd like to share with everybody, I'd be happy to take those ideas and put them on the web for us. Whatever I can do, if this video series needs to have something added to it, let me know. I want to make this for you. And finally, there's another part of this. I'm working on quarterly activities for families. So I'm trying to come up with cost-effective, cheap, fun things that we can do so that parents and children are interacting with each other. Picnics and going bowling for an evening and those kind of things. So I'm working on those. I hope you'll keep an open mind, and if you have any ideas about that, I'd love to hear those from you. So I'm going to jump right into what I'm going to be doing each week, starting off with something I've learned in the past couple weeks. I was reading a study for a class, and one of the points that the book made was that the #1 influence on a child's spiritual maturation, on a child's spiritual growth, is their parents. I'm not your kid's primary spiritual advisor. You are. That is good news for both of us. I could have a bunch of kids running around like clones of me, and that'd be fun, but that would be useless because kids listen to you more than they listen to me. And that's the way it should be. If you'll grab a Bible or just listen along, in Deuteronomy chapter 6, turn there real quick. In Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting in verse 4, God says through Moses to the people of Israel, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. See, those slaves who had just been set free, who had been delivered out of the land of Egypt, were trying to come up with ways to remember this. And God says, the way that you remember this is by passing it down. Here's the truth. Make sure your kids know it. The way that we continue our faith and the way that our kids become strong, mature Christian adults is by us expressing that faith. Expressing that faith when we're sitting at home. Expressing that faith while we're driving our cars with the kids. Expressing that faith wherever we are and in whatever we do. So the challenge this week goes right along with that. The challenge is for you to express your faith to your kids at least once this week. What I have in mind is something like this. If your kid asks, why are you doing something that you're doing? And it's something good, of course. If your kid asks that, tell them how God is factored into that decision. If you've come from a place in your life where you are making bad decisions or you're not following God in some way and God has delivered you out of that, share that story with your kids. Turn off the TV for 5 minutes and share a story. Ask them questions. Somehow express that faith to your kids so that they will know how important faith is in your lives. We can try to show people all we want, but it's those times where we stop and say it and prove it by the way that we live. But the first part is we have to say it so that they'll believe it. So the challenge this week, share your faith with your kids at least once. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you listening. Like I said, if you have any input or criticism, please let me know. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.